So, okay, so today's agenda is why do we need an API testing? What is an a web services API? How API works? What are the types of an APIs? And some vulnerabilities, top 10 vulnerabilities related to the API securities, and the tools for testing the APIs, and some attacks on the web services which we usually found while testing the security testing of an API. So next slide. Okay. So why do we need an API testing? So before moving to this slide, we should know what is an API. Okay. So first you should know about an API. So API is a core part of the most of the application. And API is the interface between the database and your application, or between the two application. So if your API is not stable or retrieving the wrong data, it means your application will also show the wrong data. So if your API is not it's not functional properly, obviously the application will not function well. So the most of the companies develop the API first and then test it well. So if the API functional, then it will be given to the developer part to develop the application. So without testing the API, if you start develop the application and once you get on a bug, you have to investigate into the API level. Okay. And if there is a problem within an API, you may need to change some API structure as well as application code. Also means the application code also need to be a change. So to avoid these reworks, better to test the API in prior level. Okay. So that is why we need a API testing before developing a software or developing the tools. So that is what the main core reason. Okay, so move to the next slide. Okay, so what is a web service and a API? Okay, so basically a web service is a software system designed to support the support to machine interaction. Machine to machine interaction means over the network. So it has an interface described in the machine in procedurable format, that is called as a WSDL. WSDL stands for a web service description language. So it describes the message operation and the network transport information by used by the services. So the other system interact within a web service in a manner to prescribe their description using the SOAP messages. Typically, it used an HTTP protocol within a XML serialization in conjunction with an other web services standard. Okay, so the terms API stand for the application program interface. So if you break down the word by word to word, you will get a pretty idea of what it means. Okay, so an API is an interface that can be used to the program software that interact with an existing application. So in a practice, an API is a set of function and procedures that allow you to access and to build upon the data and the functionality of an existing applications. Okay, so I think this part is clear to all. Can you move down the next slide? Okay, got it. So how API works? So this is a simple example. I'll give one next example also. So when you are using some mobile application, what happened? It will connect to the internet and then send your request to the server as we usually do. Means client and server side. This is based on the client and server side model. Okay. So then what server will do? Server will collect your data from your request and process and send back to your mobile, your screen, or on a client side or your mobile phone. So the application will convert that data into the readable response, that is your client, and display that through your user interface, means your UI. like your mobile or your display, whatever you want to, whatever you have requested, it will show you a response in a readable format. Okay, so there is an example, that is a nice example. Can you next slide please? So this is an example of, let's suppose you are sitting in a some restaurant, okay, and you have ordered something. Imagine you have to go, you go to the pizza place and you check the menu and place the order. Means this order need to be sent into the kitchen. Then only you will get your whatever you have wish, your pizza. Hence, the place the order through the waiter. Okay, the waiter takes your order to the kitchen and bring back to your pizza from the kitchen. So in this example, the menu is your application. Whatever the things you have selected from the menu, that is your application. When you are sending the request by placing your order, so the waiter will act as an API, which is like, it is an intermediate who will take your request to the kitchen. The backend system, your pizza get you will get your pizza or a response from a kitchen through the waiter or an API. Okay, so the kitchen is your server, waiter is your API, and the menu is your application. Okay, that's how you get a response from a server to client side. That is why it is on a client and server side model. Okay, once every API, means if you are building some web applications, so you cannot build the web application without an API. If you call some function, if you click on your mobile or on a or in browser way, so if you click on the Facebook, it will give you a Facebook login page, because the API will call to the server and it will say, yeah, he was requesting for a login page of a Facebook, and it will show, it will give you, a server will give you a response to, like, yeah, this is your login page of your Facebook, and you can enter your credentials, and this is what you have requested. Okay, okay, then move to the next slide. So these are the some OWASP 10 vulnerability of an API security. So these are the vulnerability which will cover by an Yuvank. So Yuvank, you can proceed.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much. So I'll be taking on from this now. So let's talk about the OWASP top 10 for API security. So OWASP top 10 is a like curated list which is provided us by OWASP for some common vulnerabilities in APIs. So let's check out what are the vulnerabilities. So the first one is broken object level authorization. It is also known as IDOR in secure direct object references. So traditionally, REST API uses some sort of path to fetch or process the data. It mostly relies on user input. And for example, if we're using a bank's API and bank is using some sort of URL, let's say the URL is account/id123/account info, and let's say if an attacker tries to modify that that URL, and if in terms of like if he changes the ID, so let's say the URL is now account/id127 or maybe /id125/account info, and if the attacker is able to find that if he able to view the access the someone else's data, so that is not so cool. That is vulnerability. So to mitigate this type of vulnerability, we should implement authorization checks on each client request. We should not rely on the values like IDs sent from the client side, and we should use the random non-guessable values for objects like IDs. So yeah, that is about it. Next, let's move to the next one. This is broken user authentication. It is kind of a broad scope thing. So it includes like things like weak authentication, weak password policies, easily guessable API keys, and maybe if let's say we are able to brute force API and for different results. So it also includes in that. And even that, if we are like if we, the in the URL, if we are able to find the credentials or like stuff like credentials or any sensitive information, so that is comes under that. So to mitigate this type of vulnerability, we should use the standard authentication token generation and standard password policies, and we should also use the multi-factor authentication things, and we should use the short-lived access tokens so that the attacker could not really use that. So yeah, and we should also use the stricter rate limiting for authentication and things like that. And we should also implement the lockout policies and so. Yeah. So next, move to the next one. So this is excessive data exposure. So it happens when if the API is sending full data object as they are stored in the database. So let's say if an attacker calls an API directly and with the response he also receives the data which is directly presented on the on the server, and if he is able to access the data like which he is not authorized to access, like server information also, so that is excessive data exposure. So to mitigate this type of vulnerability, we should never trust the client-side mechanism to filter the data. Okay, and we should check all the responses and confirm that client is receiving exactly what they've requested and what they require for. Okay, so yeah, and this is about this. Let's next come to the next one, that is lack of resources and rate limiting. So if there is no proper rate limiting, then the attacker can overload the API by sending more requests than it can even handle. And that attacker can even request at the rate exceeding the API's processing speed. And it can also send the larger requests, which API can't even process. So this is these are something which comes under this. So to mitigate this type of vulnerability, we should define proper rate limiting for every payload. We should limit our payload sizes. We should define limit for container resources. So yeah. The next one is broken function level authorization. API should not rely directly on client side for use of user or maybe admin level like authorization. Let's say if user is logged in and have access of the particular URL. Let's say the URL is account/user/user info/my info, anything like that. And if someone somehow like attacker manages to get what the admins are using. So if the attacker can like really get the URL, and if it try to access that URL, and if the attacker could get the request and process it, so like if he's able to access that admin level authorization resources, if he's even able to view this, so this is not good. It is major vulnerability. So to mitigate this type of vulnerability, we should not rely on client to enforce admin accesses. We should deny all accesses by default, and we should only allow operation to user belonging to particular group or roles. We should properly design and test our authorization. So next is so yeah, so let's come to the next one. So the next is mass assignments. If API takes the data that client provides and stores it without filtering, and then the attacker can take advantage and try to guess the object properties, or can also provide the additional properties in their request. So let's say, for example, if API have a data object, let's say the object is of data type Boolean. So object is like admin role, admin underscore role colon, it is sent as false, let's say, yeah. And if the attacker tries to insert his own data object as admin underscore role and colon true, if the API and the backend base system behind it blindly executes it without even filtering that, and it may even give the user admin level of authorization. So that is not good for the user or for the company. So to mitigate this type of vulnerability, we should not bind the incoming data and internal objects, and we should explicitly define all the parameters and payload we are expecting. We should use the random read-only property set to true in object schema. So yeah. Let's come to the next one, that is security misconfiguration. In this type of in a typical scenario, security configuration can be like where the API is not using HTTPS, and the some specific security headers are not enforced there, and API can traverse the path or folders. So yeah, these things can lead to some major vulnerabilities. So to mitigate this type of vulnerability, we should use the regular processes like server hardening and updating the resources, the and restricting the administrative access, and we should also disable the features that are unnecessarily active. So yeah, till now we have covered 7 topics, and the eighth one is something familiar, which is injection. So injection can be SQL, it can be SQL, it can be LDAP injection, it can be no SQL injection, it can be even command injection, or even other injections which API or backend behind it can blindly execute. So we all know about injections mostly. So to mitigate injections in this, we should again never trust the API consumer, and if even if they're internal. Okay, so we should filter, validate, and summarize all the incoming data from the users. Let's come to the ninth one, that is improper asset management. So suppose we have started using a new API and our older API is still running, and we had that older API has access to the same database which is used by the newer API, and even if we are not using our older API, that is still actively running. So this is not a good thing. So attacker can take advantage and do some malicious stuff there. So to mitigate this type of vulnerability, we should keep an up-to-date inventory of API, all API hosts, and we should limit access to everything that should not be public. We should implement external controls such as firewalls, and we should properly retire all the older versions to ensure that no one else is able to use that API. And we should implement the strict authentication things to better secure it. So let's come to the last one. This is insufficient logging monitoring. So if the logs are not properly maintained and the alerts are poorly designed, so the company is, and even the company is relying on the manual inputs rather than automated systems. So for maintaining their logs, so that is not good. So to mitigate this type of vulnerability, we should log all the failed attempts, and we should log all the denied attempts, all the input validation failures, or maybe all the security policy check failures. We should log all of it, and we should protect our logs as a highly sensitive information. And the logs should have enough information to identify who is the attacker. So yeah, this is about OWASP top 10 for API security. Let's come to the next one. That is, these are some possible attacks which can be done by API, which can be done on API. Most of us are familiar with most of the attacks. But yeah, these are some attacks which, if someone is trying to check the API security, these are the attacks which we should at least try. So the next one is some tools. So these are some tools like tools. So most of the tools like these tools like SOAP and Postman is almost everyone is familiar with. But there's another tools like Catalan Studio. So Catalan Studio is a free tool. Anyone can use this. We can use any of the tool. There's no specific like thing to test the API. We can use anything for our reference, which one we should like the most. So Catalan Studio is a free one. API-G is a cross-cloud API testing tool, and it is a bit expensive. If anyone wants to use it, it is $2,500 per month. So it is really expensive tool, but Google Cloud offers it with their API testing toolkits. So the next one is API Fortress. API Fortress is it's a really good monitoring tool, let's say. So if someone is trying to like just monitor the API, so it is a good tool for that. And the JW Meter is the last tool, which is it is open source tool, so anyone could use it. And there are some other tools which are good, but this is on our preference, which one you like the most and which one you prefer the most. So that is it. If there is any question, I can answer this.